I've discovered the best way to reach high scores consistently using Shen in the Echelon 7 of Dota 2's minigame, Nest of Thorns. I gained 1.1 million to over 1.2 million points with this build, not just once, but multiple times, all with minimal upgrades. So in this video, I'll tell you my thought process on how I got these high scores and the skill build that I used to achieve it. But before I started, I had to set my expectations. To challenge myself in beating Echelon 7, I intentionally didn't max out all my upgrades. I accepted the fact that I had to rely on the free chests and roche items at the start of the game, first to hopefully get a damage item to make the game easier, and second, that I had to rely purely on luck with my item upgrades since I needed to save my rerolls to get the correct skills that I wanted. Looking at my character upgrades, I maxed out damage, cooldown reduction, and projectile count. The rest I believe is optional, however, I have 2 levels in XP gain which I guess could help out a little bit in the early game. So if you're watching this and you have your upgrades maxed out, you will surely gain more points with this build. At the start of the game, I always go to the first 2 free chests on the ground to hopefully get a damage item such as Phylactery, Crystallis, or even Specialist Array because she will benefit greatly from high projectile count, especially with this build that I'm going to run with her. So my first upgrade, I take Magic Missile, so I take it to level 2. The other choices were Mines and Laguna Blade, and I will explain later why I didn't take any of those choices. But at the 30 seconds mark, the first Roshan is gonna appear, and I make sure to eliminate it right away because it will spawn 30 seconds after it was eliminated. So the faster I eliminate Roche, the more items I get, and the more items I get, the better chance I can max out everything before the game ends. So I took the first item and I got Phylactery, which is really lucky. And if you didn't get a damage item from the first 2 chests or the first Roche, it might be better to restart the game because this will be really hard since we're aiming for a high score and not just to finish the game easily. If you want to finish the game easily, there are viable options out there such as the Mine build with the Swashbuckle, but this build will only have one main keep out tool, which is the Knife Throw. And while I do have Stampede as a form of survivability, it has a high cooldown and I intend to keep it at level 1 until the end game. As you can see, I was able to max out Phylactery right away from the 3 chests that I got because once you pick up an item, there is a high probability that the game will give you the chance to upgrade it in the next chest that you're going to pick up. So the reason why I didn't level up Mines or Laguna Blade at the start of the game is because Mines are really good if you let the enemies come to you and you let it explode, but that's not what I'm going to do with this build. My main goal is to cut through everything using the Knife Throw and the Magic Missile while maximizing XP gains and so I cannot get cornered by the mobs. So my main damage in this game will be the Magic Missile and the Knife Throw because once Magic Missile lands on an enemy, it will debuff it for 5 seconds, lowering its physical resistance. This is all thanks to Vengeful Spirits or Shen's Facet, which lowers enemies' physical resistance once magic hits them. Since Magic Missile is a magic skill, it will buff the outgoing damage of the Knife Throw, making her more lethal when cutting through waves. So for my 4th item, I chose Specialist Array because as I said earlier, Shen benefits from high projectile count since I'm running projectile skills as my form of damage. Right here, I don't want any of these skills, so I use my first reroll and decide to level up Knife Throw because I need to make sure that this is high level enough before the bigger wave comes in so I don't get cornered by it. So right here I take the Specialist Array because as I said earlier, the game has a high probability of giving you the upgrade chance of the items in your inventory. So now with maxed out Phylactery and Specialist Array, there is no way for these mobs to corner me, and at this point I'm just trying to clear out as much mobs as possible so I can level up quickly in preparation for the first boss. So now one skill is just missing in my skill slot and that's called Snotty the Bat. So right here I leveled up and it gave me the option to get Snotty the Bat. However, I still leveled up Knife Throw because I didn't want to risk getting cornered by mobs, and whenever you get the chance to upgrade the Knife Throw, make sure you take it because it's really good in clearing out waves, and since I'm only missing one skill and still have one reroll remaining, I was confident that I would still get the skill that I wanted later. So I took the Octarine Core for cooldown reduction, and then I leveled up Track skill so I wouldn't take any new skills and use up my slot for the Snotty the Bat skill. And since I'm lacking one keep out tool for this game, such as Swashbuckle or Counter Helix, my plan was to stay on the edge of the swarm so I would still get some eliminations and get some XP while not getting clipped by the full wave. So the first boss is the Cinder Guard, and they're protected by barriers. A barrier will be removed once I eliminate one guard without a barrier. The plan here is to dodge all the fireballs that they shoot and return fire from time to time. So here I level up, and finally I got the Snotty the Bat skill. The reason this skill is really important for this build is because whenever you pick up an item, such as all colored XP gems, cheese, magnets, and gold, it will increase your points, and Snotty the Bat at level 1 will help with just that, picking up items that you couldn't pick up. So now the plan is to max out Magic Missile and Knife Throw, as well as the Track skill. And it's really important for me to max out the Track skill because the higher level in Track, the more projectiles it gives. And the more projectile it gives, the more gold it drops. And the more gold it drops, you guessed it, the more points you get. So right there I kinda got into trouble because I was trying to finish the boss quickly as the spiders were coming. Anyway, it all worked out. I leveled up and took another level in Knife Throw. Then I just took the cheese that I saved earlier, which healed me back up and got me out of trouble. So now let me talk about the first Aghanim upgrade that I took, which is the Track upgrade. This allows me to take 2 items from Roshan whenever I eliminate it every 30 seconds, which will greatly save time when maxing out the item slots. And when the item slot is maxed out, Roshan is going to start giving levels. So that's going to be 2 skill levels every 30 seconds. So at this point, I'm just trying to eliminate as much mobs as I can while waiting for the next boss. So here I was just moving around the circular pattern as Snotty the Bat was picking all the items around me. And also when I leveled up, I prioritized in leveling up the Knife Throw, which is really good in clearing out waves. And the more waves I eliminate, the more gems and gold it drops, which will increase my points greatly. It's also worth noting to break all the vases around you because it drops cheese, gold, as well as magnets, because not everything can be picked up by Snotty the Bat. And picking up a magnet will help me get all the gems or items that I haven't picked up around the map, greatly increasing my points. So here I leveled up and took the skill called Annihilation. This is possible because I have an extra skill slot because I took the item from the Rose Drop called Apex. And the reason why I took the Annihilation skill is because I needed a skill that would stay in level 1 but still be useful, and Annihilation just fits the job perfectly. Furthermore, it will greatly help in clearing out mobs in the late game, and you'll see the reason why later. For the item builds, it's best to get damage items as well as cooldown reduction items so that you'll be able to clear out mobs faster. So here I prioritize Crystallis because I can turn it into a Khanda after combining it with Phylactery. I just have to make sure that they're both level 3. Then on the next Rose Drop, it will give me the option to upgrade it into a Khanda. This will give critical hit for my Knife Throw as well as my Annihilation skill, which is really useful in clearing out waves. And since the next boss has spawned, I made my way to its location slowly while maximizing XP gains by eliminating monsters. I also didn't mind picking up the gems because Snotty the Bat was there to help me pick it up, and because there was a magnet around the boss area which would help me pick up all the items that I wasn't able to pick up before. Also, one important tip that I can give you if you're watching this is that if there is a Roshan, make sure to stop whatever you're doing and eliminate Roshan as fast as possible. The reason for this is that you want to reset that timer after the Roshan elimination so you can get more item drops, which is really important in maxing out everything in this game. I don't purely focus on the boss itself, but I also focus on the mobs around it. The reason for this is because I want to maximize the item drops that the mobs generate. Also, one way that I deal with bosses is I go on their side or go around them and then return fire, which makes them stunned for some reason, and it's like they're getting sucked into the ability that I'm throwing at them because their turn rate is really bad. I usually do this strategy against the Golem, who I was fighting here, as well as the Evershade and the Wailing Mass. All of these bosses have a really bad turn rate, and it's really easy to abuse this mechanic. So for the next drop, instead of taking the Kaya to the max level, I took Yasha because I can combine it at level 3 with the Kaya. It would also give me better mobility against the Golem because they do have faster movement speed once they split up into little pieces. So right here, my plan was to move into a circular pattern so I could clear more mobs, so I could earn more points while my magic missile was dealing with the golems behind me. So right here I leveled up and took Annihilation since both of the other skills can stay at level 1. And one cool mechanic about this game is that when I level up a skill, it will automatically activate just like what happened with Annihilation, even if it was on cooldown. So this is where I got my second Aghanims upgrade. I gave it to the knife throw skill so I could deal more damage because it has this infinite pierce ability. So anything in front of the knife throw skill and the mob behind it will take more damage. This means I can clear more mobs faster so I can get more points. And if you'll notice, there was a magnet on the right side that I wasn't picking up. The reason for this is because I was waiting for the next boss to arrive. And when it does, that's the time that I'll take the magnet so that I could take all the items, including gems and gold, which I wasn't able to pick up before I move on to the next boss area. Also, there will be times where you're not going to be given the chance to upgrade the knife throw skill right away, since this game also relies on luck or RNG. So if you just want to finish the game and you really don't care about high scores, my suggestion would be to replace the Snotty the Bat skill into another keep out skill like Swashbuckle or Counter Helix, and you can get those same skills in case the game didn't give you the chance to get the knife throw skill. You can even replace the Stampede with another skill called the Mines. So you're gonna have two keep out tools, which is the Swashbuckle and the Counter Helix. Then your main damage skill will be the Mines and the Magic Missile. I would just make sure to level up the keep out skills first before the damage skills, or sometimes even level them up evenly. But one thing I wouldn't do is to level up the damage skill first before the keep out skills, because what's gonna happen is that when the bigger wave comes in, you won't have enough power in your keep out skill, causing you to be overwhelmed by mobs, which would result usually in a loss. So right here I took the track skill to level 6 for more projectiles, for more gold and points. Then right here I was looking for Sanj because I was trying to make a trident. Unfortunately I didn't get it, so I just took the blade mail because this will make me more tanky, especially when the tanky archers and the tanky skeletons come. So now the last boss has appeared, and still I'm trying to maximize my eliminations so I can get more loots as I was going to the location of the boss. So the last boss here will be the Evershade, and look at how I'll deal with this thing. So let me upgrade track first so I can get more golds and points. And by the way, if you see a line of ghosts like this, just face it, and what's gonna happen is it will be knocked back by the knife throw, causing it to be derailed from its line, and what's gonna happen is there is a low chance of you getting hit by it. And as I said earlier, when I'm dealing with bosses, I go around them and go to their side so I can sidestep them and then hit back whenever possible. So right here, this guy has a really bad turn rate, so I go around him and hit him from the side, and that's it. I got my third and final Aghanim Scepter upgrade, and this is the secret because I'm going to give it to Snotty the Bat. So instead of one bat roaming around, now there's gonna be two, and since I already have a really high damage in my spells, especially when the Annihilation skill comes off cooldown, like for example, I'm going to level up here and I will level up Annihilation, causing it to activate. So once it activates, it's gonna clear everything and the bats will do its job, causing my points to skyrocket up to the moon. And here I just leveled up Snotty the Bat because I wanted to save up the level up activation for the Annihilation skill, because 10 seconds before the 13-minute mark, really tanky archers and skeletons will come, and sometimes it's really hard to clear them out, and there's a possibility for them to overwhelm me, causing me to lose the game. So just to be on the safe side, what I usually do is save the Stampede and the Annihilation spells for the end game, because those spells are going to act as some form of protection against those really tanky mobs in the end game. So now my plan here was to maximize my loot and points by cutting through waves and eliminating as much monsters as possible. And I always make sure that before the end comes, that I stay around the center of the map, around where the final boss appears, because this is where all the vases are that drops loot such as cheese and magnets, so I can heal myself up if I ever get in trouble. Also, this is a great position so I won't get cornered by those tanky skeletons and archers in the endgame. So if you'll notice, this build shreds through everything, and I didn't even have to put Aghanims on the Magic Missile. But in my opinion, if you want to put Aghanims on Magic Missile, make sure you put it on the first Aghanims upgrade, because the earlier you get it on Magic Missile, the more bonus damage it garners, so endgame is going to be really good. However, you cannot go track on that build because you won't be able to make the most out of the track Aghanims upgrade, since you also have to get it early. Unless you delay on picking up the items for the track Aghanims upgrade, but with minimal upgrades like mine, it's going to be really hard because you need that special boost in the early game to be able to level up faster and get the correct skills at the right time. Otherwise, you will be overwhelmed by mobs. Anyway, if you'll notice, you'll see how overpowered this build is, because with only 2 projectile skills compared to the all projectile skills build in my Skywrath Mage video, this thing shreds. And that's all because of Vengeful or Shen's facet, which buffs her outgoing physical damage. This build is a little bit weak in the early game, but once you've completed all the skills that you needed and the items that's needed for it, not only can you finish this game with style, but it's going to be really easy to gain points, and if you have maxed out upgrades unlike mine, then you're probably going to get a higher score than me. At this point is where the archers and the tanky skeletons are coming, and if you'll notice, it's 30 seconds before the end of the game. And as the timer nears the end, more archers and more skeletons are going to try to overwhelm you. So it's going to be like a maze, and if you did not get the stampede at this endgame, it's going to be difficult. It's still doable, but it's difficult. When I don't have stampede equipped in the endgame, I just make sure that I don't hit a dead end where there's a skeleton that I could not pass, so that I would survive until the timer runs out. But if you'll notice, I got 1.1 million points, but as the cutscene was happening, the bats were looting, so it's going to increase into 1.2 million points. And there's still a way to add up points around this part. First, I dodge Imperious missile, and then I will stand right behind this pillar, and I would hit the vase and the mobs, which will spawn right here. So this will be tracked, and if I hit tracked units, it will drop gold, and it's going to increase some of my points because these mobs are near immortal and it's really hard to eliminate them. So at this point, what I would do as well is take the other vase and get the gold and the cheese from it. If you're full HP, you can just get damaged by one of her circles and get the cheese, so you can get some points from that as well. But if you haven't played against Imperia yet, what you would do is when she spins like that, just stand behind the pillar and wait for her missile to end. In my case, I didn't really bother in standing around the pillar because I have a blade mail, I'm really tanky, and I know that I wasn't going to lose. So what I did was try to hit as much mobs as possible. But if you do this, since the mobs are near immortal and it's really hard to eliminate them, what's gonna happen is the mobs are gonna keep on piling up, and as they pile up, there's a chance for it to overwhelm you. So if you want to be on the safe side and you want to finish the game, just stand behind a pillar as she shoots some missiles, and once she's done, just shoot back at her and finish the game. So right here, I'm going to skip the cutscene just in case you haven't played this and I don't want to spoil it for other players. But let me show you my final score. It's 1,251,460. I got to level 46. I got 4,000 gold earned. And, well, look at the damage, guys. It don't lie. So this is the part where I say that I'm not just a Dota player, but I'm also a gamer of other games. And if you'd like to see my adventures on those games as well, and probably my thoughts on other topics, please consider subscribing. Until then, thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.